and welcome to your latest BTS Career Zone podcast as part of our Career Pathways series. My name is Natalie Dawes and I'm part of the Candidate Support and Business Development team here at BTS, and I am joined by Jennifer Cumberledge, a Quality and Training Supervisor at True Potential. True Potential is one of our featured companies here at BTS, so it's really exciting to be talking to Jen today. There are loads of things that I want to talk to Jen about, but particularly want to focus on her own journey into the financial services industry and the insane career progression that she's had at True Potential, which has been 100% encouraged and supported by the business. So Jen, I want to talk to you about your sort of involvement with TP, but particularly where you started. So perhaps going back before TP would be a really good place to start. How did you get into financial services? And then we'll talk that journey through.
So before I started at True Potential, I was actually a geography teacher in a secondary school. Like a few people, I think, at the moment that have went into the teaching field, I didn't stay in that very long, but it had always been, my goal was to go into the teaching field. So I was quite unsure of what I wanted to do outside of that when I did decide to leave. I've got a friend that I went to university with that works at True Potential, and he just said that they were looking for staff and referred me across. So I came in at an entry-level job of a client manager. So they're the team that are looking after any non-advised requests for clients, helping them look after their accounts, just general queries, withdrawals, valuation issues, anything like that they've got any questions about. From there, when I passed my probation, I signed up to the academy and I started doing my exams alongside my work. So I was just working towards the level 4 diploma. And after a year of being a client manager, I was promoted to the training manager of the team. So I was just looking after the ongoing training for the staff that are, here currently, and then looking after the new starters as well. From there, as I started to kind of progress further through my exams as well, and my knowledge started to grow, I was able to understand things a little bit better and get a lot more involved with the training side of things. And then when I've qualified and I've managed to get my level 4 diploma, I've been made the training and quality supervisor. So we now look after all of the quality side of things. So make sure that the team are doing the job as they should be when they're speaking to clients, and also still looking after the training side of things as well. So the exams have definitely helped with that side of things. So being made the supervisor, but also just my understanding and the way that I can word things is so much better, I think, now that I've managed to get through that diploma.
Wow, I think is the word I want to use there, because that was a proper whirlwind tour of Jen and what you've done over the last couple of years, which is amazing, and so much progress in your role and the things that you've done as well. So let's talk about those in a bit more depth. And I am going to take you right back to the very beginning as well, where you were talking about being a geography teacher. This is so common, where I am talking to a lot of people within the teaching profession who are looking at coming into this industry. Do you think it's quite a natural career change?
Yeah, for sure, for my side of things. So teaching is obviously, there's a lot of public speaking, and you've got to be confident with the way that you deliver your ideas, and you're delivering some information to someone, which I think moving into a financial sector, it's quite a niche area. Not a lot of people do understand different concepts and different ideas within the financial sector. So when you learn them yourself, applying the things that I've learned in my teaching course and in my teaching jobs, it's definitely been able to move over and help me when I'm speaking to clients and in my training role when I'm speaking to members of the team, and just being a little bit more aware of how to deliver something and make sure that people are able to understand it.
Do you think it was intentional to come into the financial services industry when you decided to make that change, or was that purely because of the relationship you had with your friend that was at TP?
Yeah, it was purely to do with my friend. There's an overlap. So I did a human geography course. So I did do some economic geography modules where I was looking at things like regional development and things like that. So I had a base understanding, I would say, when we hear people talking about different types of investments and development and things like that. But yeah, it was just to do with the relationship with a friend, and it's just ended up being something that I ended up being interested in and really enjoying, and I've been able to progress and get qualifications within this field as well.
Absolutely. It does tend to be an accident, I think, for most of us coming into the financial services industry. And I really am keen to change that and for people to make intentional decisions to come in. But, irrelevant as to how somebody like yourself has come in, I think it's been for the good for the industry and for yourself in terms of your career progression. So your first role within TP as a client manager, talk me through those first few weeks. What did that look like?
So there's an 8-week training program that we do here when you first come in, and we treat everybody that comes in as if they've got no knowledge, no understanding of the financial sector, which for me was, I was very grateful for that. It was a very good thing. There's a lot to learn, there's a lot to pick up. We deal with pensions, ISAs, general investment accounts. Some of our clients have got bonds, so you're learning about a lot of products, a lot of allowances, obviously how everything works on our side of the business, and then you've got the financial advice side of things on top of that. So quite a lot to learn coming in, but the training that I received was really good, and I was able to kind of pick everything up on the job and as I was going. But it was, I just found it really interesting from the get-go. So it was just something where I was able to understand it and pick it up as I was going. And I think when you're doing it on the job, it's something that makes it a lot more like meaningful. That the things that you're being told, you do understand it and you pick it up a bit quicker when you've just got to go in the deep end almost, haven't you, and learn it as you're doing the job. So yeah, I enjoyed it though from the second I started, I would say.
I think that's apparent from where it's gone to.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the training and that you received to sort of help you with learning the products and stuff like that, how was that delivered? What does that look like?
At the time, so we still do this now. We pair our new starters up with a buddy, so one of the more experienced people on the team. And what we ask them to do is for the first week, they just do their job after every phone call or any task that they pick up. They just stop what they're doing, they explain, whether the conversation's been about tax, they tell the new starter about what they've been talking to the client about, why that's important, how you'd process it on the system, then you'd pick up the next task and just do the same thing again. So that was the case when I was training. And then there's also like weekly training sessions as well, just going into different areas of the business. And so we might be learning about different products one week, you might be learning about taxation of things the next week, you might be learning about different areas from around the business that are important to know. So that's what was in place when I started training. And then now we've just started to implement a few more sessions for anyone coming in, just areas where we've realised, people were still struggling with things, or it might not come up too commonly, just trying to get like a session put in place so that every area is covered almost, so they're ready when they do get a query pop up about it.
Amazing. So it's really structured from the sound of it, plus the support from the buddy and probably wider team as well, which is really refreshing because it doesn't happen in every firm. You will just have people come in doing administration. And I look at it also from the angle of when I was a paraplanner. So before I came to BTS, I was a paraplanner. And when I would call a provider to obtain whatever information I was obtaining, and you knew that that individual on the end of the phone hadn't had any training, didn't have the knowledge or expertise to be able to answer your query. But what you're doing there is building that from the get-go, which is a really valuable thing. Is that for the purposes of career progression, or is it because your team are knowledgeable to be able to just do that client manager role?
Bit of both, I would say. So I think they're speaking to clients about so many different things, and because the team are linked with the financial advisor, you are going to get clients that have lots of different questions and they're wanting to talk about the whole financial situation. It might not just be the pension that they've got with us, for example. So although the question that they're asking the client manager on the phone might be a question for an advisor, we still want the client to know that the person they're talking to there and then does know what they're talking about, and they're not just sat there thinking, what on earth is this? So we know what advice appointment to book them in for, we know what information to pass on to the financial advisor, and we are still, although we can't kind of cross that barrier for advice for the client managers, they still know what the client's talking about and are able to point them in the right direction for some help.
So your service levels must be very high, I would imagine, because of this structure that you have.
Yeah, I hope so. That's what we're aiming for. We want our clients to feel we're a telephone and online service, so we want our clients, although we're speaking to them on the phone or a video call, we still want them to, have that good relationship with us and not just feel like they're speaking to a huge company that isn't interested, they don't care. We want them to know that we are bothered about their accounts, and we are, interested in what they're telling us, what they're saying, and want them to get the best outcome from those conversations with the team.
Amazing. And then do you find, because obviously we know where your career is going, and we'll get to more of that in a moment, but initially when you come in as a client manager, you train up, you become more knowledgeable, gain more experience. What would you say, in terms, I don't know, numbers, ratio, whichever way you want to look at that, of those individuals that come in? Do they tend to progress in their career, go into other roles, or have you also got people within the business that are career administrators, for want of better words?
Yeah, it's totally up to the person, and I think that's, I've mentioned that I've ended up staying here and progressing myself. I think that's the thing that has made me stay at this company from, I came here not really sure would I like the industry, is it what I wanted to do, and I've stayed because they put so much value on promoting internally, and they wouldn't take staff on if they weren't interested in kind of investing in them and letting them progress. So the staff that we've got, we've taken them on for a reason. So if we can add value to them and get them extra qualifications, move them into further roles as they go through their career, then we absolutely want to do that. And I think up from the team now, we've got so many people that are doing the academy routes. We've got people that are self-studying. We've got people that are, working towards promotions that might not be based around the level 4 qualification as well. But we do development plans every 6 months, and we do one-to-one meetings with our team every month as well, just to see are there any targets they want to work towards? Do they want to pick up any additional responsibility, work towards any qualifications? And we're just constantly checking in and making sure that those targets are being hit for the staff, so everyone's got a chance to kind of further their knowledge and their career here.
That sounds fantastic. There's lots of opportunity there. And again, I've used this word several times so far during this conversation, but structure, and a really, robust structure in place there to make sure that is ongoing, that training and those opportunities that come off the back of it. So you're a client manager, and so many weeks or months down the line, at what point would you consider perhaps picking up the books, either from a self-study point of view or from the academy point of view?
So in terms of how quickly people can pick that up, once we've passed that 3-month probation period, they're welcome to start studying. I think I picked mine up around the 6 months mark. So I waited. I knew that I would want to progress in a job, but just with us being new to the field and coming in from a referral for a friend rather than something where I thought, right, that's what I'm going to do, I give myself an extra few months to make sure that I was definitely comfortable, definitely ready to kind of pick up the books and start studying. And that's what worked for me. But we've got people that are coming into the role as well now, knowing they want to be in the financial industry, and are saying, as soon as I can start studying, I want to do that. And I think some people have got a degree in kind of finance related qualifications or business studies, whatever it may be. Some people don't. So I think it is totally preference. And I think if you put the work into the picking the books up and studying and revising, you can start from the ground up for sure. You don't need to have any prior knowledge. So it's just when our staff feel comfortable to start putting the work in towards working towards getting the level 4. Self-study is obviously a little bit harder. They don't get the support from BTS in terms of webinars. It'll just be the study material they're getting. So I think you've definitely got to make sure you're comfortable and you've got, your base knowledge is there before you start studying. For the webinars, or the support from the workshops and the webinar days are really helpful to help people solidify the knowledge if they are starting from scratch.
Absolutely. What's the difference between individuals that will self-study and those that go on the academy? Is it purely a numbers thing? You can only have so many on the academy, and the others are self-studying because of that, or is there something else going on there?
So we do 2 academies a year, and we have 12 people per academy.
Okay.
So there is, limited spaces of what we can take on within a year. So partly down to that. Sometimes we just kind of ask people they can start studying when they've got a bit of an idea of where they maybe want that to take them or what they're interested in. So some people are just kind of, they hear about the exams and they want to pick them up, but we say like, okay, let's take a minute, let's see what exams you actually want to do, because we offer like investment management qualifications and such as well. Have a look at what you want to do, and let's try and put a plan in place for you so we know we're putting you on the right track. That's one thing that we look at. But in terms of self-study, it might be that people are wanting to get through the exams a little bit quicker than the academy route offers. So that runs over 18 months for academy. If they're wanting to say, right, I want to get this qualification done in a year, we'll say, right, okay, you can self-study it, you can give it a go, and we'll see what support we can get for you as you go. But we tend to say self-study if you want to get it done a little bit quicker, or you might start with 2 exams already under your belt, and go for the academy route if you're starting from scratch and you've not got any exams. I think it's definitely the best way to do it. It paces it nicely alongside the job. You've got the extra support from BTS. And I think although 18 months sounds like a long time, when you're working full time and you're in the grand scheme of things, it goes at a really nice pace, I think.
It does. And it's funny you saying about 18 months seeming like a really long time. I was having a conversation about this yesterday. I did my diploma over 5 years. So proper snail like in comparison to that 18 months, which is so different. But I actually think 18 months is a really lovely amount of time, particularly for the reasons that you've just said, around doing it outside of your job role as well, because the day-to-day job is still there. That's still got to be done. The clients will always need to be looked after, so we've got to stay on top of that. But those touch points in between each unit, I think, provide that, again, structure that candidates really need. I guess the other side of it, in terms of the academy route versus the self-studied route, and it's interesting that you sort of said that generally people want to get through it sooner. But I guess the other side of looking at it is, for those that don't necessarily want to do the full diploma, they want to dip it in and out of things, perhaps to support them in their role, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've got some like pension technical roles, for example, that we ask for RO1 and RO4 on. Some people in that role might want to just pick up those exams, get the exams they need to do their job, whereas some people might then think, actually, do you know what? I've got those two. I might actually finish the diploma. And if they're on a self-study route, then it's up to them what units they pick up and how quickly they go through it. So they might get 1 and 4 done as quickly as they can to get into their new role and get the knowledge they need. And then they might think, right, I'm going to take it a little bit slower with the last 4. So it does provide a little bit of flexibility in that sense as well. And if people have got a unit that they're particularly interested in and they want to do first, or they think that'll help their particular role, it means they're not kind of bound by it's going to be going in this order if you do it on the academy. So yeah, it does have its benefits for that as well, for sure.
Absolutely. So they're still supported when you're going the self-study route as well. So they'll get access to materials. Is it, what else do TP do to support candidates? So perhaps let's say, as an example, a candidate is struggling with a unit or something like that. What's the go-to in terms of support?
So they've got Martin and I there. So I've done the academy route myself. Martin's level 4, but he did the LIBF route instead.
Yep.
So we both have, we both understand the difficulty of getting the level 4 diploma. So we do want to help people if they are struggling. But I think my teaching background comes into it as well, as just trying to help people think of different ways to study, different ways to revise. Often point people towards on the material we get from you. They've got the study guide, which is obviously the in-depth one, and I do promote that they read that, but starting with the e-learning if they're struggling with going straight into the book, trying to put a plan in place for them where they feel like, right, okay, this is what I need to get through in this time, and this is how I'm going to do it. Or you guys offer workshop days for like external groups, or if we've got an academy group that are due to sit some workshop days and we've got space on them, we'll just say, why don't you join this? It'll get you back on track, give you a little bit of a boost. I think the workshops for sure are a really good knowledge boost when you're due to sit an exam. So if we've got something coming up with you guys that we can put them on, we'll do that as well.
Yeah, amazing. And I think it's the word that you've used throughout this conversation, and that's that flexibility. So you are very flexible in terms of what that support looks like, and it sounds as though it's very much about the individual and what they need and finding the right route for them, which I think is really brilliant as well. Okay, so in terms of routes that are available, because you've obviously gone the full academy route, you've done your level 4 diploma, you're now sat in training and competence and quality. What does your role look like on a day-to-day basis? How do you fill your day, which I have no doubt happens very easily?
Yeah, a few different things that I look after. So I've got 4 people on my team at the moment. So we look after the relationship management team, that called, so they're the team that I've mentioned that look after the non-advised requests for clients and help with the client site. So we have monthly training sessions with the team. So we might be giving them quizzes about different areas that we're going to be training on that month. We do the training sessions themselves, which are usually half an hour to an hour long, where we're going and training them on an individual specific topic. And then we've got the quality side of things as well. So making sure that the team's calls and written communications are, correct, and the customer service that they're given is where we want it to be. So that'll be providing, we'll do a half-hour session with them every month, mark some of their written communications, mark some of their calls, and we'll go over them with them and see where we're at with that, setting targets. So I'm managing the team that look after that. So just making sure that that's all done for all of our inbound and outbound teams and the head office advisors. And then just training the new people as well. So it's always nice taking people on. We do 2 training sessions a week with them. They get their weekly quizzes as well, and just kind of checking in with the buddies and things as they go, and making sure that they're all happy with where things are. And then I also look after the academy side of things as well. So that's more, group wide rather than just within the central advice team. So I'm just making sure that anyone that wants to join up is, aware of all the information. They've got all the information they need. They know what they're signing up to and what it's going to look like for the next 18 months. Making sure they're on the right plan for them, so self-study or academy, and then just checking in with them as well, making sure they're on track. They know where they're up to, or their exams booked in. I'm the, chasing them on all things like that. So just making sure that they're everything's in place for the academy, and then for the training for my team as well.
Absolutely. So lots to fill your time with.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like it that way. I prefer to be busy than bored, for sure.
Oh, 100%. I'm exactly like you when it comes to stuff like that. Talking about your academy then, because it is something, because I'm obviously part of the academy as far as I meet some of your candidates and some of the units that we train, and they are all very engaged in what it is that they are doing. And I guess that forms part of the process of making sure the academy route is right for them. With your academy, is that sort of filled in terms of those numbers that you have twice per year internally, or do you have people that are external to the business that will come into TP and join the academy?
So at the minute it is internal. So we've got people from around the business. Every twice a year I'll have a meeting with the whole business, say anyone that's interested, come along, and I'll just explain what the academy's aiming to do and what it'll look like. And if they want to sign up, they can put their name down, and then Martin and I'll have a chat with them and see if we can offer them a space. I know previously we've had, an external academy where people have came into the business and with the intention of getting through those exams. At the minute, although we are kind of doing it internally, I know that we're looking for advisors and things like that. So whether or not that's something that would be reintroduced, I'm not too sure at the minute. But yeah, at the moment it's an internal thing. But we do have people that join with a couple of exams under their belt. In their interview, they might discuss, this is something that I'm doing. I've got 2 exams, I'm looking to do my next 4 and go into an advice position. And if someone was joining on that basis, then of course we accommodate for them as well. And if we've got an academy that kind of matches where they're up to, which we've got them staggered at the moment, we'll just put them with a group that works for them and get them back on track. So they can certainly, if they're just joining from that perspective and they've got a couple of exams under their belt already, if we've got a place where we can pop them in and get them back on track with their studies, then we do that as well.
Absolutely. I guess the other side to it, though, is if you're recruiting externally for these positions that you currently have open, they can come in and self-study, can't they? And obviously follow that track that you have with the fully supported position in place as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had some people join and get straight in with the study, and they talked about it in their interview. They knew it was something they wanted to continue with and get finished with true potential. And we've just straight away got them going with that and made sure that they're all set up on the learning system. They've got all the resources they need, and they're in a position to get the exams done.
Yeah, amazing. What would you say is the best thing about working at TP?
I think for me, I don't want to say a juvenile answer, but the staff here are all honestly so helpful and lovely. Everyone gets along really well, and I think the morale in the office, it's really nice to see everyone kind of working towards their own goals and being able to progress within the company. But everyone does a really great job of helping each other out as well. So we always say when we get our new starters in, ask anyone around you if you need a hand, and that they'll help you. And everyone does stay true to that as well. And I think, we've got the academy groups that are running at the moment as well. And, I see they've got all their group chats on Teams where they'll help each other
Oh,
out. If someone's struggling with something, they'll explain it. And sometimes they'll all sit in, I know my group used to do it as well. We'll sit in the same room if we've got full workshop days, so we can help each other out if someone missed something past the notes that you've made. So I think the team spirit for that is really nice to see as well. But I think the progression that comes from the back of that as well, for sure, is a great thing. It's really nice to know that, if you put the work in yourself, you're willing to do the work hard and maybe get the qualifications where you need it. The business are willing to, invest in you as a person as well, and help you progress through your career. So it's nice to know that there's like a long-term role for us here. I think that's nice to know.
amazing. And that was not a juvenile answer at all. And I think it's exactly what you want to hear when you ask a question like that. Those are all the things you want to hear. I want to bring the word culture in here because something I feel, and it is a feeling, I think, irrelevant as to who it is I talk to at True Potential, irrelevant as to their role, it's that culture piece that you feel the most. And words that you've used there, supportive, anyone's willing to help. Another way that it's been described to me is a real family feel, a very nurturing environment, that kind of thing. And that is exactly what you need, particularly if you're somebody like you were a couple of years ago, new to industry. It's a little bit scary. You've made a daunting step. You want to feel supported, don't you?
Yeah.
I think that is a really admirable thing that has been built up in True Potential, and one that's very, very important.
Yeah.
What type of person, because we're obviously talking to you, and I can tell the sort of individual that you are, particularly with your background as well, but what type of person is suited to working at True Potential, would you say?
I think we're not too bothered. I think you can tell from myself, I came from a teaching job.
Yeah.
We're not particularly interested in what someone's kind of background in previous jobs were, whether they've came from retail, whether they've came from like hospitality, or whether they're actually coming from a finance background. That's not something that we're particularly interested in. If we can tell that someone, when they're coming for a job, is able to provide good customer service, they can get on well with people, and are willing to put the work in, then that's what we kind of look for when we are hiring. The finance side of things is something that we can teach, and it's something that we've got all the training in place, we've got all the the help and the support from the rest of the team. That's something that we can educate someone on. But I think it's that the willingness to get stuck in, and the good customer service, and the sort of just the friendly, chatty person is what we look for, because that's the side of things that's a little bit harder to teach for someone. I would say the finance thing is, we can tell someone that when they come along.
Absolutely, and you're right, you can teach that stuff, absolutely. It's more attributes, isn't it? The sort of softer skills which you can build upon, but the attitude's got to be right in the first place. Someone always said to me years ago that attitude is everything else you can teach, and I think that's so key. I really do. So that individual that is willing to work hard, be a team player, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, last question, if I may. If an individual is perhaps weighing up their options, and one of those options might be TP, why choose TP over another option?
I just think that the time and the resources that they're willing to put into the staff is admirable for a company. So, like I say, I've come from no financial background. I came here because I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do. And since then, I've been from a the entry level job. Sorry, I've worked 2 different roles from there. I've been promoted, and I've now got a level 4 qualification in finance, and that's just because all I had to do was show up with a good attitude, a willingness to work, and put the work in myself for the qualification as well. But they weren't expecting any kind of background from me in terms of qualifications or anything like that, and they've helped me and supported us to get where I am in the role now, and they're still willing to look into further exams that might help support my role, or further opportunities that I can take on as well. So I just think it's really nice to know a company are willing to invest in you as a person, and set like a long-term plan in place for you.
Fantastic. And I said that was the last question, but you were talking there, and I was like, I wanted to ask more on this anyway. You've got plans to continue studying?
Potentially, yeah. So in terms of what exams, I'm not too sure. So now I've got my level 4, I do have the option, of course, to join the head office advice team or the case checking team. But I'm happy where I am for now in my training role. It's something that I enjoy doing. I like looking after the team, and I've like kind of building that up from the ground. So that's something that I've really enjoyed, and I do still enjoy. But things that I'm maybe looking into is possible like compliance-based exams. That helps the training role for sure. So any of my resources, might need to be run through compliance at any point. So it really helps build the knowledge on that. So I'm speaking with my boss at the moment to see what exams would best benefit my current role, because I know for advisors they can do like the AF exams and work towards chartered, but whether or not that's the right thing for me to do right now, I'm not too sure. So I'm working with my boss at the moment to see what exams are probably best suited for me to help me progress further and build my knowledge up a bit more.
Again, that just highlights that supportive program that you have there at True Potential, in that you've done your level 4, but further support is available beyond that as well. You've also mentioned other departments as well. So presumably for people that have gone through the academy or they've self-studied, when they are level 4 qualified as well, there's scope for them to move from one department to another and explore other areas of financial services as well, within True Potential.
Yeah, absolutely. It benefits both sides, doesn't it? The business, it's good to have the level 4 people in. We need it as a company that are working in a regulated financial sector. We need people that have that level 4 qualification, but we need people to kind of continue working as well. There's need within different teams. Although we're a restricted advice company, we do work with advisors as well that are independent, and that we need the knowledge for whole of market products there as well. And we've got people that are going to more compliance-based exams, and as the business grows, we've got a greater demand for having staff with those qualifications as well. And whether it be in a compliance role, an advice role, something like mine that's a little bit more behind the scenes, the need for the qualifications are there, and the company are willing to, they'd rather invest in the staff they've already got, and they know that are willing to work hard and understand the business. So yeah, it works for me because I'm getting extra knowledge and extra qualifications, which helps me out in my role, but it also helps the business as well to, invest a little bit further in me, and that's what they do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jen, for being so sort of helpful today and giving us a lot of insight to True Potential, both from the point of view of studying, academies, self-studying, or indeed job roles as a whole. And I think the big key message that I've taken away from this is the huge amount of support that's available, for one, but equally the opportunities that lay here. So coming in, and building your career from the ground up, and who knows where that might take you, and quite honestly could be a number of different ways that you could take that, which is really exciting. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
If you'd like to learn more about the opportunities at True Potential or connect with them, just visit their dedicated Featured Company profile page on the BTS Career Zone. There you'll find even more information in the form of articles, videos and podcasts.